So welcome to part 3 of the diminished chord. We're still dealing with just the C diminished chord at this point. We're about to move on to dominant 7th chords. Now in part 2, you might remember that when you have the diminished scale, there are 4 notes in the chord from that scale, and there are 4 leading tones. The little in between the cracks notes that lead to each one of the chord tones. That would be B to C, D to E flat, F to G flat, G sharp to A. On the previous video, we found that we could build major triads on the 4 notes in between the cracks. That is, we could do a major triad on B, D, F, we can also build dominant 7ths. This leads to a gigantic nuclear concept, the answer to the universe. This is the Rosetta Stone of how to use this stuff. If you play each one of these dominant chords, the B, 3/4 of that chord is our diminished chord. Cut off the B, you have E flat diminished. Let's go up to the D. Cut off the D, the root, you have F sharp diminished. Up to the F7th, take out the F, you have A diminished. Finally, A flat, dominant 7th. Cut off the A flat, you have this. Each one of these 4 dominant chords is mostly made up of notes from the diminished chord. We can use our C diminished scale in each one of these dominants. B, D, F, A flat. Okay, as soon as you say dominant 7th, in this case B, let's start arbitrarily with that guy. That's probably going to lead to an E, major, minor, doesn't matter. So now we get to think in the key of E, or E minor. So what do you do when you have a 5 chord, a dominant chord, a B7? Just put your thumb on B and hope for the best. Now you can use the C diminished scale. I'll play an E minor because I like that key. So here's our E. Here's your dominant 7th. Let's go to the next one, to D. D suggests what? The key of G, of course. Now we're relating the C diminished scale, which is the same over and over for how many, 3 or 4 videos, we're relating it to particular keys or tonic chords. So if you're in G, you have a D7th. The next dominant 7th chord, or major chord, we found is that F one we talked about. Okay, F suggests what? Well, B flat. And finally, the A flat dominant 7th. Which is C diminished basically, suggests D flat. A flat goes to D flat, so here we go. So now if you suddenly want to do a wash of sound, a moment of emoting in some difficult key, you don't have to flounder. You can actually do stuff that sounds like it's in the cracks. So a do 2-5-1 to the key of D flat. Now that sounds intimidating. Lots of black keys and so forth. Or E minor, just to pick another key. Now for a really cool thing, when you play these triads against, let's say, a B7th, now the cool thing, if you play these major triads against a given dominant like B7th, you're going to find that one of them is in the chord anyway, and one of them is not. Or if you go up all four major chords we talked about, that's against this B7th, right? Using the notes from the C diminished scale, that'd be B major, D, F. Some are in the chord anyway, and a few of the notes are refreshingly astringent or pungent or broken glass or outside, but one of them will bring you back. So it's like putting a foot in hot water and cold water, hot water, cold water. You don't know kind of what's going on. You'll surprise yourself, you know. I like those. Ouch, that hurts. It's like tin foil on the filling, right? Here's the friendly one, going to the alien notes. So without really trying, you could do all kinds of mix and match sort of stuff here. Okay, the final trick today to making melodies is you have all these beautiful hot licks going to keys built on the dominants that we're doing today. The really neat thing is when you come to the actual tonic or the one chord going from the dominant, yes, please go to the chord that you're resolving to. In this case, let's go F7th to B flat. But just keep jamming on the dominant, on diminished, right? So here's a 2 of B flat. There we go. So here I am hitting one bass note. I'll play in B flat and then F7th, B flat and F7th, but just hang into the B flat on the bass. Never go to the dominant. Just stay on the B flat, just to forget there ever was a dominant 7th, and just be jamming on the diminished as if you were on the dominant. So you'd be always doing this. Let the bass player worry about the bass note.